All right, guys. So for the top four of Duels of Runeterra number 13, we are on Cephalopod versus Jubileu. And Cephalopod looking to make a run here to the finals, possibly, and get a win under his belt. Again, he is a regular performer in these tournaments, but has not won anything recently. So it'd be nice to get that victory under his belt. Jubileu, on the other hand, is relatively new compared to Cephalopod to the Duels of Runeterra scene. As for the decks that these gentlemen are bringing, we have Cephalopod with the mid-range Frostbite with the Ash Sejuani. He also has the Ezreal Twisted Fate, which again seems to be the more popular version of Ezreal nowadays, and also BBG's Thresh Lux deck. Jubileu, on the other hand, with a little bit of a different approach to his lineup here, bringing Keg Control with Gangplank and Twisted Fate, Ezreal Swain, and then the Lucian Zed Bannerman, which is always a really, really aggressive way to play Bannerman. So we'll see if that aggressiveness pays off here in this matchup.
The question is, what would you rather do with your Noxus or Freljord?
Well, there's Freeze Ezreal if you went the Ezreal route. But see, now you're going to get into all different lineups, right? Like it's
exactly, yeah. It's just that, like, unless you're running Ezreal Swain, there doesn't seem to be a very appealing Noxus option currently.
Well, okay, so then that's where Pirate Aggro, I think, comes in.
Okay, yeah, Pirate Aggro can come in as well, but I think that, like, if you are running something like if Twisted Fate Ezreal is comparable in power level to the Swain Ezreal, then I think that, you know, you do round out a lineup a little bit cleaner with something like the Ash Noxus, as opposed to, you're basically either going to run Ash Noxus or you're going to run Bannerman kind of as your third deck with your leftover regions. It's a matter of, like, what else do I want to play? And I mean, there's a lot of what goes into a lineup. I'm not going to get into all of it here, but typically there's like one region that stands out as like, okay, once I make all of this, what do I do with this region? If I want to do something else with this region, how does that affect my lineup? And right now that looks like Bilgewater. If you are going to run like Ezreal Swain and then let's say, you know, Thresh Lux or something, it's like, okay, well, what am I doing with my Bilgewater? You know, do I want to go for, you know, a Bannerman deck and then play Sea Monsters? Do I want to play Twisted Fate Ezreal? Do I want to play Pirate Aggro? Bilgewater seems to be kind of the defining factor in a lineup because we're not seeing anybody not play Bilgewater.
So, okay, and that's where I think people are missing the boat, at least so far. And it looks like we are getting into the game. Only one hand, I believe, unless anybody knows Jubileu's channel or if he's streaming. I'd be happy to try to get both hands in there. But, so as to what I was saying, that's where I think people are missing the boat, because would you agree that Sea Monsters hasn't exactly been a top performer as well?
I mean, it's definitely been performing inconsistently, but I'm not going to say that I'm not a fan of the deck still.
So, okay, so it's relatively, at least from what I've seen, it's being played more than it's having success, I guess. We'll put it that way. And that's where I think the Bilgewater comes in. I think you could go ahead and do Pirate Aggro versus Deep, and then now you have a whole different roundup of decks that you could choose from region-wise. But besides that, all right, we're done with that discussion. We have game one of the top four, Cephalopod versus Jubileu. Let's get it. Duels of Runeterra number 13.
Wrong, we're not done. I did want to point out, Deep did make it into top 16 in Europe and Southeast Asia. It's apparently just America where Deep is not performing.
Well, no, because it did win. What was the other one I just said? Was it BR Legends?
Europe?
Yeah, Brazil.
Oh, yeah.
So, which, by the way, shout out to Brazil. Jubileu from Team CDR, a Brazilian team, was also in. I don't know if Jubileu was in BR Legends. I can't remember, but he is on Team CDR. So good to see him here and doing well in this tournament.
So we're getting started off with, what is this? The Ezreal Swain versus the Karma Lux, or not Karma Lux, Thresh Lux. There we go. Who do you feel is going to be favored in this matchup?
Didn't we just see this with BBG?
Yeah, Cephalopod ended up winning, but it was really like he got down a really early Unyielding Spirit onto a sort of leveled Radiant Guardian and kind of took over the game in that regard.
Well, okay, and listen, I think that's going to be the exact same. Like, we already see kind of a similar hand here from Cephalopod.
Yeah.
But again, I think it all came down to, BBG couldn't find his Leviathan as quickly. Well, he actually found one early, but it got Vengeance. So he couldn't find additional Leviathans after that to stick. And those are what basically null the Unyielding Spirit on something like a Radiant Guardian. If that's able to happen earlier on in this game from Jubileu, I think he'll be pretty well off. You can already see Cephalopod. Okay, I was gonna say he's thinking about vengeance on Ezreal. This probably feels really bad for him because what I was just saying with the Leviathan, that's one less option he's gonna have to get rid of this Leviathan now.
Yeah, I mean, but we do see the Unyielding Spirit with the Radiant Guardians in hand. It would take both single combat to kill a Leviathan, but I think you're right. Cephalopod's kind of at the mercy of his draws for the moment. Doesn't have anything immediately available to deal with either a Swain or Leviathan or another Ezreal, and those are kind of the things that you have to watch out for. We'll get a Radiant Guardian down this turn, doesn't have the Unyielding Spirit available for it on the following turn, but Jubileu feels like he's got a pretty good grasp on this early game, as Cephalopod doesn't have any Luxes to kind of set up into, no Threshes. Jubileu's just working a little bit more proactively towards his game plan, because it's a game plan he doesn't need to have immediately available to him like Cephalopod does. If you use all your big spells before you draw the Lux, Lux is a bad champion.
So, okay, another thing. I'm trying to remember BBG's game. Did he draw Ezreal early, or it was not till late game, right? When it was leveled?
He drew it early. It got killed, I believe. He played like a really early one, and it died to a single combat.
Okay, so yeah, and I think that might be the difference maker right there, obviously. Like, because Cephalopod just drew a single combat. I think having to use a Vengeance on the Ezreal might actually be a huge difference maker in this game. Just that one play right there.
I mean, Cephalopod does have the potential to go for like Lux Unyielding Spirit.
Yeah, and see, so that's what didn't happen in BBG's game. Cephalopod didn't draw Lux like damn near the entire game, and once he drew Lux, he put it away. So I think this is really scary for Jubileu now. Having Lux this early, he might be able to, just like you said, get this Unyielding Spirit on a Lux, and at that point, it don't matter if you get Leviathan. You just have the Lux train a rolling with these final sparks.
I think Jubileu has to eat this damage. It's really scary for both players now because Unyielding Spirit is no longer burst. Unlike the Radiant Guardian, Jubileu has options to kill the Lux in response to the Unyielding Spirit, but if he goes for it too proactively, then the Unyielding gets to come out and protect the Lux forever until the end of time. Cephalopod looks like he's actually going to go for the Glimpses. He does have mana for both spells this turn, and if Jubileu wants to run out, I think anything more than like 3 mana, then Cephalopod can get the Unyielding Spirit down onto the Lux, and that should be pretty close to the end of the game, because Lux is something that can go ahead and get stunned out from here until the end of time, and it'll still get a lot of value thanks to this Unyielding Spirit.
Yeah, that's the difference between getting it on a Radiant Guardian and a Lux. That's why I think that BBG had an advantage in that game that we did see, but then obviously he just wasn't drawing his Leviathan as he needed. Now in this game, with Lux coming down so early, I think that 100% gives Cephalopod the advantage. I think getting it this early means and we're going to go ahead and see the Thermo Beam. So I think that's great play by Jubileu. It does allow him to get rid of this Lux before the Unyielding Spirit comes down, and he had to have known that he had it with that much mana up last turn.
Yeah, and I don't think Cephalopod's going to be too upset about potentially getting an Unyielding Spirit down onto the Radiant Guardian again, trying to run that one back. Cephalopod's so good at finding these Radiant Guardians.
Yeah, right? And getting and triggering them too, right? Like, I mean, that's half the battle is drawing it. The other half is actually getting the effect off. And you do have to manage your mana properly in order to do that. You need to think of, if you're attacking, is it going to be before you go below 5 mana so that your unit dies in the attack, things like that. And it seems like he's done a good job of managing that thus far.
And this Leviathan does mean if we want to, we can see the Unyielding Spirit down onto this Radiant Guardian. Kind of go for that game plan again. And you might have to do that because it's going to take something like 4 Demacia into single combat for this Radiant Guardian to actually kill the Leviathan.
Yeah, and that's where this Vengeance being gone is going to come into play. We'll see how big of a problem this ends up being for Cephalopod. Looks like he's thinking about playing one of the Vanguard Sergeants. Maybe just, sacking it to this Leviathan to get another Radiant Guardian off. That seems like an okay play here.
Yeah, I think he really wants to entice Jubileu into the attack before he plays this Unyielding Spirit, kind of get the maximum amount of value out of it. But I think it'd be a little crazy if he does not fire it off here and will eventually fire it onto something else.
Yeah, Jubileu is smart to not attack too, right? Like, I mean, it's going to get blocked by the 3. That's going to put your Leviathan at 8, and then you're just asking to get single combated at that point. Leviathan is like one of the few cards in most mainstream games that does require something beyond a single combat to be killed. Like a concerted strike, right? I mean, now you need that extra damage in there. So very smart by Jubileu. We'll see how long he can keep the Leviathan around. That's what's going to make the difference in this game.
I just want to point out, it's really weird to see, like, very familiar regional combinations on these players' deck lineups, and then like not see the decks that we're used to. Like looking at like Noxus PZ, you're like, okay, that's burn. You know, we keep seeing Ionia Demacia as the Zed Bannerman, and it's like, okay, well that's that's supposed to be Karma Lux, right? Or specifically that Teemo Elusive deck. Like looking at Ionia PZ and being like, oh, it's an aggro deck is always a little bit weird to me.
Yeah, we're gonna see the calling strike, and then it has begun. The Unyielding Spirit has been spent, and we're going to see some crazy lifesteal start to come out, and also, very importantly, a lot of damage onto this Leviathan. So, still having 2 single combats in hand, Cephalopod will be able to deal with this Leviathan pretty soon here.
Yeah, I don't know how close Ezreal, or Swain rather, is to leveling. We did see a Glimpse Beyond come out onto a large thermogenic beam a little earlier, so that was a lot of missed damage.
Stacy just hovered
okay, so
or 5. It's either 5 or 6. I can't really tell with how far away it is, but
I mean that's 5 and 6 is very different because that's the difference between like 1 Leviathan proc or 2 Leviathan procs and 3 Leviathan procs. And Cephalopod doesn't have an answer to immediately get rid of this Swain. Can kill the Leviathan with a single combat, and I think that is something that behooves you to some extent. Or maybe you just want to continue to go wide on the board and entice Jubileu into misplaying something and get the single combat value later on.
And he does decide to just go for the gold now, kill this Leviathan. So pretty smart. You know, obviously you're preventing additional procs on the level up of Swain there. I don't want that to get out of hand because we all know how a leveled Swain and a leveled or not a leveled Leviathan, but just a regular Leviathan might as well have a level up with how freaking strong it is. It basically feels like Leviathan's leveled up when Swain is leveled up, right?
Yeah,
like...
yeah. I feel like that's a reasonable way of putting it.
Stun coming down on the Radiant Guardian here. Gotta prevent a block. This other Radiant Guardian not really doing much, obviously. Not having the tough and the lifesteal. So this might be an okay attack on the side of Jubileu, but we'll see what other options he has in his hand.
Yeah, Cephalopod can still run out some additional blockers. I don't think Jubileu's going to be able to stun everything that Cephalopod has. Okay, hold on. If we see the 3rd Arachnoid Sentry, we still see a blocker out of Cephalopod, but... I mean, you could just pass here as Cephalopod, right? If your opponent wants to swing out with everything, then you can get down another sort of leveled Radiant Guardian.
Yeah, I don't see why not. Another leveled Radiant Guardian. I guess you're not really pressured to throw down another leveled Radiant Guardian, though. Like, you don't really need it yet. You're still at 20 health.
I think the tough is a little bit more relevant than the lifesteal in that regard, because you are still against an Ezreal deck. They have to string together multiple things to be able to actually kill you. And instead it is actually going to be Ezreal coming down, but that's vulnerable to the single combat.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if the single combat does end up coming out. I mean, this is definitely going to put pressure on Cephalopod if he doesn't single combat it. I'm trying to think. Jubileu, I don't think, has anything to respond to this at 2 mana. So there's no way that this Ezreal actually lives. And that's his 2nd Ezreal. So he's at that point now where, I mean, he's at a lot lower health than Cephalopod. Like, he needs to start doing some damage if he even cares about getting like a leveled up Ezreal to win the game. And I think that's what he's realizing, which is why he's just kind of freely playing this Ezreal here.
So there's 2 schools of thought for Cephalopod here. You either single combat the Ezreal pre-combat to prevent the Mystic Shot, or you do it post-combat in order to lifesteal back up to full. I definitely think preventing the Mystic Shot is a lot more relevant than the lifesteal that you're going to get back, because you are still going to be attacking with this Radiant Guardian on the following turn and getting that life back anyway.
Yeah.
It looks like he's considering the implications of letting this Swain actually hit him in the face.
Yeah, I'm just thinking now too, after seeing these matchups, like, just seeing this particular matchup multiple times, right? This Thresh Lux deck versus the Ezreal Swain. I don't know. I'm trying to think of who actually does have the advantage. I know we've talked about this a couple times now, and it just seems like so back and forth every single time we're casting this game. And it comes down to, okay, well, is the Leviathan on field? All right, well, Leviathan's not on field. Well, now it looks like Cephalopod's in the lead. And then, okay, Leviathan's back. Jubileu's got this. So I feel like it's literally just Leviathan that even gives Jubileu a chance of winning this game.
Yeah, I think that you really need to get that Leviathan down next to a leveled Swain in order to actually have the advantage. Otherwise, it's just a little bit too easy to pick apart for the Karma Thresh player. There's just so much removal between Vengeance and Concerted Strike and single combat. And I'm I mean, Cephalopod's only running one Unyielding Spirit, and every time he's played this matchup so far, we've seen that Unyielding Spirit come in really big with a Radiant Guardian, and I'm kind of curious what this matchup looks like if he just doesn't get that.
Yeah, and... All right, back over to Cephalopod. All right, listen, chat. All right. They said what? They said, all right, first off, thank you, Annie. That's you for the raid. So, unfortunate. Unfortunate he's no longer in the tournament. But, the Radiant Guardian levels up, okay? All right, the Radiant Guardian levels up. I don't care what you say.
Senna levels up. Radiant Guardian levels up. Leviathan levels up.
But yeah, no, Leviathan's probably the most obscure level up. Like, what the hell? Why does that level up? But, so I'll give you Leviathan being questionable.
Yeah.
But they all level up, okay? There's no question. They have level ups.
I'm excited to see how Yone levels up.
I think I wish they made something with like Yasuo and Yone on the field. I'm curious to see what his champion design is in League of Legends, by the way. Just throw that one out there.
What are we looking at here?
A lot of spells on the chain for some reason.
So it was double gotcha onto the Badger Bear and a Mystic Shot onto face. But this is combat, baby. You can't stun a back row unit in combat.
Yeah.
That Radiant Guardian's going face whether you want it to or not.
Yeah, I don't... I mean, maybe Jubileu didn't know that, but...
That sounds... Oh, okay. I mean, did Jubileu just forget that sound? That can't be correct, right? Like,
maybe that's the Heimer emote. Maybe. What is the direct translation of the Heimer emote again?
Big brained. It's like us trying to do math is the direct translation.
So idiot? is that what that means? Okay, well, yeah, maybe he just forgot that. I don't know. That's wow. And yeah, we're gonna see. Okay, so this is actually what happened. This is almost identical to what happened in BBG's game, where he was just shit out of luck and then drew a progress day. So we'll see if this is a little bit of a better progress day for Jubileu than BBG.
I'm not even sure what Jubileu could draw off this progress day to make any kind of impact in this matchup. Cephalopod can just run out Thresh and Radiant Guardian, or Radiant Guardian and this Remembrance. The Remembrance actually gives him a Final Spark to kill the Swain. He doesn't get to win the game this turn with the Final Spark, but he does get very close.
Yeah, and it's still a little unfortunate, right? Like, these 4 Demacias, I was really hoping at some point to just start seeing these 4 Demacias make an impact on the game, but it seems like every time these 4 Demacias go off, they're just at the end of the game. I don't know. They aren't really doing much beyond just sitting in the hand all game and just giving your opponent a card to play around, which in and of itself is a thing, right? Like, playing Ruination is a thing. You got to play around Ruination. So it's definitely good as far as that's concerned, but just would have liked to see it have a little bit of a better impact in some of these games.
I mean, we also don't see Cephalopod drawing Lux very often, which is sort of what you're waiting for with that card.
Yeah, it's funny how he's won without actually drawing the cards that the deck needs.
I mean, you get a tough unit down, and that's good enough against Ezreal decks half the time.
Yeah, you're not.
Especially with the Unyielding Spirit down onto it.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really smart adaptation, is like seeing that Will of Ionia got nerfed, people are really falling off of that card and going, oh, you know what Will of Ionia was really good against? Unyielding Spirit. And just throwing that back into the forefront of the meta.
Wait, hold on. I forgot. What's Will of Ionia again?
I spent like the entirety of the Rising Tides release talking about how bad Unyielding Spirit was for the game, and then it finally got changed to Fast Speed, and I'm like, okay, that's probably enough. And then they're like, okay, goodbye Will of Ionia. And now my nightmares are all coming back to haunt me.
Yeah, but it does still feel way more balanced than Burst Speed. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh god. Obviously, it's more balanced than what was Burst Speed.
Just oh my god, yeah. For Will of Ionia, man, that was a card. One day, long time ago.
It was like 3 days ago.
It's still, yeah, I know, right? It's we've actually seen a couple of games where their opponent has, 9 mana or 8 mana, and it feels bad that they actually can't play 2 Will of Ionia. Not sure if it's made a huge difference in some of these games yet, but still interesting to think of that situation when it does pop up.
I mean, it's made a big difference in the tournament as a whole, as we see a lot of players cutting Ionia.
Oh my god, which you gotta love to see, right? It's like when Shadow Isles, when the game first came out, Shadow Isles was like OP, and then they made some changes. Everybody started cutting Shadow Isles from a lot of stuff. Then Ionia was OP. They were the OP one, and now everybody's starting to just cut Ionia from stuff. So I think that's a good sign overall.
Yeah, it's really funny to me that how disjointed the Spirit Blossom event feels, where it's this big Ionian event, and then they just like shit all over Ionia and Runeterra the same week.
That's what they do. They nerf cards, and then they go, here's what you get as a reward for dealing with our nerfs. You get this cool event for people to be reminded that you do exist.
It's like, yes, this is our Yone event. So in order to promote Yone, we have gutted the only Yone deck in your game.
They should have given everybody 3 free copies of Will of Ionia. Here you go, guys. Here's a little.
It's the Ionia namesake card, the one Yone deck. Just everything's going poorly for Ionia here in Legends of Runeterra in light of this Ionia celebration event. They did give us this board though, so we're the real winner.
Oh yeah, I get, yeah. Okay. Man, you really love this board.
I noticed that Cephalopod also only owns this board. Like he hasn't bought any other boards.
Really?
So I'm the same way. This board's great.
Well, he went all out. He's got the little mascot over there too. The wolf. So.
I didn't do all that because I wanted the They Who Endure.
Oh, okay. Oh, really? Like actually, I don't even think I've bought one of those yet. I just have the ones that were given to me. Okay, but anyways, we have this game going on. So we got game 2 of Cephalopod and Jubileu. And we got Cephalopod up 1-0. And I mean, he took down BBG in a swift 3-0 as well. So we'll see if we can do the same thing here versus Jubileu in the top 4.
I do want to highlight how insane that is too, because Cephalopod and BBG had the exact same lineup, and Cephalopod 3-0'd him.
Oh, that's a good point. They did have the same lineup, yeah.
Oh, no, they didn't. Cephalopod is running Twisted Fate Ezreal, BBG had Swain Ezreal, Cephalopod had Noxus Ashe, and then BBG had Pilfer. So not the exact same. I think it was the top 16.
I was just going to say, it was BBG's...
We saw someone with an exact mirror on the lineup.
So it was BBG's opponent in the top 16, which was... I ping you, listen. They had... equal decks, and then Bruised by God actually 3-0'd him. So,
okay, then Bruised by God. Somebody got 3-0'd with the same lineup. But that doesn't look like it's going to be the case in this matchup. And Jubileu actually, not running sort of the typical things that we see out of these barrel controls in the Withering Wails and the Vile Feast, doesn't have a great answer for this Twisted Fate. It's really just barrel on a Make It Rain, and even that one has potential to low roll and miss.
Yeah, and we do see a pretty good start, though, for Cephalopod, getting this chip damage in, getting the Jagged Butcher as a 3-3, getting an early Twisted. So Jubileu is going to have to do something about this Twisted Fate before it gets out of hand. It's funny. Until the game, I totally forgot. I looked at Bilgewater and Shadow Owls, and I was almost going to make like a deep deck comment, and I was like, oh, wait a second. There's a Gangplank. Never mind, a wild Gangplank has appeared. Yeah, I want to take a little bit of a closer look, too, at Jubileu's Gangplank deck here, because it's interesting, to say the least. This is Twisted Fate and Gangplank, and as far as the Shadow Owls is concerned, because he is running Yordle Grifter, which is an Allegiance card, he is actually only running 2 Glimpse Beyond, 2 Vengeance, and 2 Ruination. So, to your point earlier, to the keg control thing, I do think this is very much as keg control-y as we're going to get right now. But the Hunting Fleet, that's a card.
I do want to talk really quickly about how Cephalopod actually did manage to have his Twisted Fate dodge the barreled up Make It Rain, which is that one answer that Jubileu has in his entire deck outside of Vengeance. Oh,
I was looking at the deck and I didn't even notice that. Oh my God, that feels so bad from Jubileu. Man, we've seen a lot of Hearthstone-esque RNG today on some feels bad man moments.
So actually, Cephalopod stole the Hunting Fleet as well.
Yes.
So that's Cephalopod's card now.
What are your thoughts on the Hunting Fleet? Right, like this is the first time we're actually seeing it put in the deck, probably just because it was buffed a little bit, or if you would consider it a buff, I guess. What are your thoughts on that card?
I mean, it's basically a 4-mana 6/4, which I don't think is phenomenal.
Yeah, I tend to agree a little bit, unless you have a deck that can remove the Narwhal, whatever the heck it is, Golden Narwhal, which that card is still unplayable. So I don't really understand.
Hunting Fleet just feels kind of out of place in a deck like this.
Yeah. Yep. Well, I agree, because when you think of a card like Hunting Fleet or a 4-mana 7/7. I think of trying to rush the board in turns 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then ending your upper end of the curve with a 4-mana 6/6, right? Like that would be the goal. This is like a control deck, so it's very weird to see that in here. I don't really know exactly what he's targeting with something like that.
I'm not even sure I could, just the lack of spells, and specifically the lack of removal spells, makes me hesitant to even call this a control deck. Like it almost just feels more mid-range. And I still don't even think that I like a 5-mana 6/4 in my mid-range deck.
But can you?
And there's no like weird kind of get around onto the hunting fleet that we're missing here. Like it is, you're probably just going to, or onto the narwhal rather. Like you're probably just going to have to attack with the hunting fleet. Is you don't have any other real like 4 attack units in the deck to actually get over that thing's defense.
But if a mid-range deck is playing Vengeance and Ruination, is it really a mid-range deck?
I'm willing to say yes. If you're not playing Grasp of the Undying or Withering, you have to at least be playing Vile Feast for me to call you a control deck. I mean, he's got Parlay.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, Vile Feast is usually a pretty easy add-in to any sort of control deck, but as we can see here with Cephalopod, his hand is shaping up to be pretty good. I mean, he's got a reduced cost Riptide at 7, which may be pretty big here, and getting the golden. Okay, guys. This is officially, I think, one of the first casts. Actually, I'm not positive, but at least the first time I've casted. We have a wild golden narwhal on the field. It has appeared. It is here, and it's here to stay, at least for the time being.
Was that always a 2/4 or a 2/3?
No,
I thought it was a 2/4 for some reason.
It was a 2/4, but when they
changed, so it's got Okay.
They reduced the cost by 1 as well.
Right.
And they reduced hunting fleet by 1 and 1 attack and 1 health, because we can't have a 4 mana 7/7 that's that easy to get to the field, even though technically Crocodile has a bigger summoning requirement, though, in my opinion. So
speaking of crocodiles and crocodiles in general, Cephalopod has a stolen Riptide Rex at 7 mana that he's going to be able to fire off this turn, as well as a leveled Ezreal. And I have to assume this is just GG for Cephalopod right here.
Yeah, you can't. A 7 mana Riptide stolen feels incredibly bad. I will say this is a trade that feels good. So as far as why he's playing Hunting Fleet, trading a Jagged Butcher with the Narwhal feels kind of good to now have a 6/6 on the field. So, and the 6/6 does eat up a lot of the Riptide shots. I mean, I'm trying to find some reasons here. I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt. I know it's probably GG, but giving it a shot.
I feel like you block with this Merchant, you go, play my Riptide Rex, destroy your board. Next turn, open attack, play another Riptide Rex once you try to redevelop, and probably kill you at that point.
Yeah, you just have Riptide on Riptide on Riptide here. And not to mention, TF's a thing.
Funny enough, Jubileu's actually only going to get 1 chance to respond to this Riptide, as red card is going to take up the 8th place on the stack.
Ooh. Yeah, that's a good... And that's, honestly, listen, for anybody in chat... Don't feel bad if you can't figure out what the hell is going to stack where when you have a TF on the field, because we've all been there. It's kind of hard sometimes, not going to lie. Or maybe that's just me. Then again, I can't do math, so. Did one of us say Ezreal? I don't know. We meant TF. TF, okay, so TF has seen a ton of play now. TF is probably one of the more highly played cards in the format. And everybody knew it was good when it came out. But everybody also knew it was a very hard leveling requirement. But as we're seeing, I think it's actually a little bit easier than people might have thought initially to level the Twisted Fate, and that's with a nerf to Pilfered Goods.
I'm actually a little surprised we didn't see the Thermo Beam onto the barrel, since the gold card was going to kill the Dreadway deckhand anyway. It looks like Cephalopod might have just forgotten that Twisted Fate's gold card was coming out. Yeah. And actually not killing the barrel punishes him now, because the Parlay is able to take out the Twisted Fate.
Is this where Jubileu turns it around?
Hell no. He doesn't have any answers to Cephalopod pushing damage and then, firing off a Riptide Rex. Even if he has... Actually, Cephalopod can just end it with Warning Shot into Riptide right here.
That looks about right. Yeah, is that... Yep, there you go. And that's going to be GG's for Cephalopod, going up 2-0 now. I mean, listen, top 8, beat BBG 3-0. He's now up 2-0 in the top 4. How many games can this man win? Let's see. Dude, if he gets into another finals, man, this guy, Cephalopod, is a damn good Legends of Runeterra player. That is for damn sure.
I'm trying to... I know he has... I want to say he won a previous either Duels of Runeterra or Jamfest, but I feel like recently we haven't seen him have too much success out of unified formats. Like, in unified formats, he's been performing really well. He won BRFest number 2. Did he get second at BRFest 3, or did he... Or I think he got top 4 at BRFest 3.
Yeah, he got top 4. That's the thing. Like, he actually hasn't... at least in my experience anyways, won as many tournaments, but he has very consistently top 16, top 8, top 4'd. I want to say, for some reason, he's actually more consistently top 4'd specifically. Like, I think he's got a lot of top 4s under his belt. And, in my personal opinion anyways, I feel like winning, and he's going to a break real quick, so I'm going to pull it back over to us for just a split second. in my opinion, anyways, I feel like okay. Oh, sorry. Thank God your pants were down or something, huh? That would have been God. I think that, in my opinion, I think it's more impressive that he it's more impressive to me if a player consistently top fours, let's say 3 or 4 tournaments, than if they just win one and then like scrub out the other tournaments.
So, fun fact about me, as you know, I come from an accomplished card game past. I've never top 4'd in my life. If I top 8 an event, I win that event. And if I don't, and sometimes I just don't top 8. My top 8 record is like pretty trash, but I've won like 6 events by top 8ing, and then I always go through to the finals. I always win the finals. But I mean, if I don't, like, I've never lost in top 4. I think I lost in top 8 like 1 time in my life. Like, if I make it there, I go all the way. But I'm not good at making it there.
Yeah. Okay. Wait. So are you bragging a little bit? Like, you just.
I mean,
always make it?
I don't know how to like judge players who consistently lose in top 4 because I've never done it. That's not a benchmark that I've ever hit and then fallen in.
All right, so on to game 3 here. Cephalopod back from his smoke break. Actually, that's a lie. I don't know if he actually smokes or not, but
that would be a really quick smoke break.
Yeah, that would be a quick smoke break.
He was gone for like 30 seconds. He just eat the cigarette.
He just like chain smokes like 4 cigarettes. All right, I'm done. Back to the game.
So I checked the records. Cephalopod won the first Jam Fest.
Oh, ooh, wow. So maybe that's why his name is so prominent in my head too, because that was like one of the first tournaments ever for this game.
Yeah, and it's not like he's had a drought since then because he did win BR Fest number 2.
Yeah.
So that was what, a month ago at this point? That's not that long ago.
So he's got 2 victories super far apart, but everything in between he's basically I think in my recollection anyway, he's done super well at.
Yeah, I think you're right. He's a very consistent top 4 performer.
All right. So, mid-range Frostbite versus Not Deep. If you guys were trying to guess what Jubileu's playing, this is a Gangplank deck that is playing Hunting Fleet, interestingly enough, alongside Twisted Fate. So we'll see if he is able to pick up a win with this. He's obviously made it pretty far in the tournament today. So I wish I could see a game where this deck won and maybe like used Hunting Fleet to his advantage, or even Dreadway. We didn't see Dreadway come out last game.
Yeah. So Cephalopod is going to the finals. Even if Jubileu wins this game, I don't think there's any universe where Jubileu can actually 3-0 this Ash Noxus deck, especially since there's still a Bannerman deck in his lineup.
All right, who's got the Bannerman deck in his lineup?
Jubileu.
Oh, okay.
And Jubileu has to beat this Ash Noxus with all 3 of his decks in order to actually move on to the finals. And I think that even if we see him pick up a win with the Ezreal Swain and this TFGP deck, I don't think he's going to be able to do it with Zed Lucian. And I think even some of those other matchups could be an uphill battle.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree with you there, right? Because, I mean, I was just mentioning earlier, I want people to get off this mid-range Frostbite bandwagon, which I still want, but this is a at least consistent deck. I mean, we've seen it be smashed in a few different specific matchups, but if you give this deck 3 chances to win, I mean, I'm pretty sure it's going to do its job and win at least one of them.
And this could be one of the rougher ones. This is a deck with Ruination in it, which is typically one of the parts where we'll see this deck falter. If you try to go for this greedy Assessor and you build up your board and you build up your board, and then all of a sudden your board is built up and that Assessor's kind of the last piece, but you're going to get Ruinationed if you play the Assessor, and you just kind of try to like hold off on that as long as possible, and then you get Ruinationed anyway. And sometimes you get the Assessor down and you just brick. You don't draw anything that you really need to finish the game. Your opponent's still around like 10 life or something like that because they've been chump blocking you out with these petty officers, and actually gets a pull shark off the petty officer. That's a pretty big hit.
Yeah, that is definitely a very good hit. I gotta say too, right? Like, one of the things you always joke that there's no bad 1-drops, right? When you're playing something like a petty officer or some other cards that summon 1-drops, Island Navigator specifically, especially when it gives it scout. For an RNG card like petty officer as well as Island Navigator, they don't feel RNG. Does that make sense? Like,
Okay, they don't feel RNG until you hit old Zonite Urchin and it goes, why does my opponent get a draw card off of this?
All right, listen, yeah, but I just feel like in general you're accomplishing your goal when you play the card no matter what. Even Make It Rain, like, now I will say Make It Rain's probably the most RNG card in this game thus far, just because it feels bad sometimes.
We've seen some bad Riptides.
Yeah, and Riptides. Like those sort of like ping effects for damage feel really bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of the RNG cards, I gotta say, it feels good to play them because they feel like they accomplish their goal regardless of what they actually hit. Except Shadow Fiend. That's the worst.
Yeah, Shadow Fiend. I mean, Shadow Fiend has instances where it's good off of a petty
Yeah.
officer or a island navigator, but it's pretty few and far between.
Usually bad.
Usually, yeah, more often than not, definitely bad. So we're actually going to see Elixir of Iron to protect the Avarosan Sentry,
Okay.
and then a Glimpse Beyond to deny the kill.
So, I mean, to me, this just shows that he wants to clear as much of the board on Jubileu's side as possible. And probably because I think he's just going to try to go aggressive here. I mean, can he, what is this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? Probably play the Kato? 7. He can't play Kato and Avarosian. Sentry or Reckoning doesn't do anything. Yeah, I think he just wants to go in with the Kato here and try to get as much damage as possible off.
I mean, he's going to get a lot off if that is the case. So we see Parlay the opener. That's a pretty good one after the Elixir of Iron was used onto this.
Yeah, that's a really good one. And now that I'm starting to think a little bit more about Hunting Fleet, and because, you know, we don't usually have to think about that card. And
Yeah.
it actually seems really good into a lot of what Cephalopod will have to play as far as something like a Kato. Like, it trades with damn near everything. So it's, if he does drop one here, it basically just prevents the attack.
Yeah, and I mean, this could be where we see these Avarosan Sentries play against Cephalopod a little bit. That's something that we're not typically seeing out of these Frostbite midrange decks. And I mean, it's just a little bit slow for a matchup like this. Here, we're even going to see the Gangplank come down, and sure, you can trade with that on your Kato, but that leaves you with such a weak hand with just 2 Avarosan Sentries and a little bit of removal.
Yeah, and we're going to get the, yep, it's going to go ahead and trade with this Kato. Going to get a little bit of overwhelm damage through, so that's something, I guess. But, I mean, it kind of still feels bad on Jubileu's side to lose the Gangplank. But again, like you said, Cephalopod's down so many cards here, it doesn't really have a lot of options. This might be Jubileu's window to kind of start to get an advantage here in this game.
Yeah, and it feels a little scary not to go for an open attack onto the barrel to get that off the board before your Ash gets down. But, I mean, there's nothing that Jubileu's actually running that threatens the Ash even with the barrel. It'd have to be a combination of cards like the Parlay and the Make It Rain on top of the barrel. So, okay, TF red card. That's going to clean up all of these units out of Cephalopod. He's going to get 2 draws for it, though, so not going to feel terrible about that, probably.
Yeah, and yeah, getting rid of both sentries there. Twisted Fate, man. Oh my god, this card.
Oh, these are not great draws for Cephalopod.
Nope.
And Jubileu's pretty low on cards himself, and he doesn't have the Dreadway Ladross combo, but I mean, Dreadway, we've seen these boats swing matchups so hard, and being able to get that Gangplank back out onto the field is going to feel great, even if you don't have a game-ending play beside it. Just being able to get Dreadway Gangplank out, you know, feels absolutely great, and Dreadway gives you a pretty good shot at lethal. The problem is that it does get cleaned up by Reckoning.
Yeah, now if Cephalopod can get a wide Reckoning off, which it looks like might happen here, I think he's going to be in a pretty good spot. Is he not thinking about attacking with this Ash?
I mean, I feel like if nothing else, you attack to clean up the barrel, right?
Well, yeah, because you have this Brittle Steel to protect the Ash, and your opponent's on 1 mana. There's nothing on 1 mana that Jubileu could possibly have, right?
I mean, you can also just challenge the barrel, and then it doesn't matter what your opponent does in terms of blocking the Ash. But yeah, using the Steel defensively is fine. This isn't a card you're going to get a lot of value out of. I think what Cephalopod is really considering here is what happens if Jubileu goes for the open attack into a Riptide Rex. Which, with the Omen Hawk blocks, Cephalopod can actually get around.
Yeah, and okay. Okay.
He's playing around Parlay or Make It Rain.
Okay, yeah, because of the keg. Okay, so, I mean, do you ever pull the keg there instead of just attacking with the Ash?
I think if you thought about the way that things lined up and decided that if my opponent plays, or if my opponent blocks with Omen Hawk, if I'm going to Brittle Steel that, I feel like I should just attack the keg.
Yeah, I kind of feel like that too, especially if you are worried about a Riptide coming down next turn. Like, if you save your Ash, it literally doesn't matter, no matter what you do, because of this Riptide. So I feel like that Brittle Steel probably could have just been saved there, and you still, I mean, you save 1 more damage on your Nexus, essentially, by keeping this Ash at 3.
Yeah, Cephalopod doesn't die here, though. We do have the Ice Veil Archer as well as the Calling Strike, so we'll be able to live through the turn and actually clear out everything but the Riptide Rex if that is the plan that he wants to go for. But I think he's going to want to try and sort of save up for this Reckoning.
It feels, wait, 6, 7, 8. Man, he's 1 mana off from being able to board wipe. That would feel so good. with the Reckoning as opposed to the Culling Strike and the Reckoning next turn.
Yeah. And now he's got a decision to make. Do I actually want to Culling Strike this Riptide Rex or the Twisted Fate? The Twisted Fate can't be too far off the level, but it's not something you're super worried about. And with the Culling Strike not coming down in combat, it looks like we are going to see Culling Strike onto the Riptide Rex and then Reckoning to finish off the Twisted Fate on the following turn.
Yeah, I hope he doesn't just open with the Reckoning. Like, I feel like you have to get a little bit more value out of this Reckoning first before you do anything.
I don't think you can really afford to. You can go for the attack first. That opens you up to dying to a parlay or make it rain if your opponent goes for, going on another wide board here where you want to Reckoning and then they just kill your 1/5 attack unit.
Yeah, and I think that's why Jubileu decided to go for the block there. He probably feels like Cephalopod has a Reckoning, in which case it's kind of smart in my opinion. I mean, this Trifarian can't block. Jubileu will probably be able to go a little bit wider if I... Okay, oh wow, yeah, that's... And that's the surrender. So no 3-0 for Cephalopod. Jubileu picking up a win there with that deck. I'm just going to say it's a deck that plays Hunting Fleet. That just kind of gets...
That's your takeaway?
Yeah, that's literally my takeaway from that game, is that he played a deck with Hunting Fleet in it. That's what I'm going to focus on, because you know what? It's a card that wasn't played that's played now, so success in my book.
I'm going to live in the real world and say that Cephalopod didn't draw a timely Trifarian Assessor, but he's got 2 more shots to do it, and oh my god, I hate it when players do this. Where like you've got that one bad matchup and you're tucking that one a game for... You're tucking that...
Oh, and... Looks like the call was actually dropped with Boulevard, so I'm going to go ahead and get back into it here in a second. And yeah, for some reason I'm down a co-caster, guys. I am down 1 co-caster, but we are still good. Stream is up. I'm just going to go ahead and get him back on here in 1 second and see if we can't get this going. Oh, looks like he might have actually lost connectivity, so I guess I'm casting solo until he goes ahead and gets back on here. So we do have Cephalopod dropping down the Omen Hawk, and yeah, right. Dial-up internet is the story of my life today, right? But I actually, from the sounds of it, I don't think that was on my end this time. So we'll see here in a second. I'm actually gonna get disconnected. Let's see if you actually get disconnected here. That's probably the case, so no big deal. So yeah, I mean, Cephalopod off to a much better start here, but the Housebiter is probably going to stave off a lot of the aggression on the side of Cephalopod. I mean, just provide some nice chump blockers, even to the point where he can block this Trifarian as well. That way he's not taking too much damage to the face here. Go ahead, try to call him back again. There he is.
Hello.
I think we found... Did your computer actually disconnect that time?
So Skype gave me a little pop-up saying that it was trying to reconnect the call.
Oh, okay, yeah. It's basically you just froze and then it exited the call on my end. So, but
it like told me that you were calling me again while I was still in call with you, and I was like, "What does this mean?"
But nothing broke, so we're good.
Okay,
and
that's what matters.
Dude, I freaked. All right, I'm not gonna lie. When we disconnected, I freaked out and I literally just looked at my stream status. I'm like, please don't end the stream. Whatever you do, computer, I love you. I started rubbing my computer and kissing it, telling how much I loved it, and it stayed on, so we're good.
Okay, so as I was saying, Jubileu doing this thing that I absolutely hate, where you have this one really bad matchup and you're just saving it for game 5, where it's like the Bannerman deck probably loses here, but I want to pick up my 2 wins. Everybody's got to sit here and watch me.
Yeah, and I got to agree with you there. I'm not gonna lie. It's like, okay, so why, from a competitive standpoint, why do you make that decision? Like, does it actually benefit you in the overall best of 5 match to save it for last?
It gives you more tournament experience. It gives you a little bit more experience on your other decks. It could possibly tilt your opponent if you 2-0 them and then go into your final matchup. Like, you're just kind of trying to give yourself the best possible odds going into your last matchup. And as we had mentioned earlier, fatigue is a factor in card games.
Yeah, and I'm gonna butcher this one. Amakakiru, maybe I got it right. It says morale in chat too. Yeah, I was gonna say maybe just, giving your opponent more losses in general. I mean, if you are able to then come back from being down 2-0, if you do make it to that 5th game, I think you do have a big one-up on your opponent in that now your opponent's like, damn, I had it, and now I'm losing it, and now you get in their head a little bit.
I mean, it's also bragging rights. You know, you go on Tinder, you're talking to someone, and you're like, yeah, you know, I lost, but it was a 5-game set.
Yeah.
Like, if you tell her that you got 3-0'd, she's leaving you on red and unmatching you, and you don't want that to happen. And we all know that's why we all play card games. It's to make better Tinder profiles.
The ease with which you sneak those in there, those little sentences, those little tidbits of information about Tinder, it's astonishing, Boulevard. So now that we have some Tinder advice going on up in here, not a vocab lesson today, folks, but how to use Tinder properly. We are getting back to the game with Cephalopod and Jubileu again on game 4 right now. Jubileu taking the deck that does have the little bit of a better matchup, as Boulevard said here. But Cephalopod, you know, he looks like he's off to a decent start, able to get through a decent amount of damage here as well.
Yeah, he's losing a fair amount of his board here, though, or at least getting damage onto some of these things. Like this Yeti is now open to something like a Ravenous Flock, and with the hand that he's got available to him, he really doesn't have a phenomenal answer for the Swain. Here we see Kato off the top. That's actually great. I mean, he does have the Culling Strike, but I was trying to fix Skype, so I don't know how much damage came through, how close this Swain is to leveled, because Ravenous Flock does represent 4 damage, and for 1 mana, it's not unreasonable to level the Swain after the fact.
Yeah, and we do see, so this Kato might be the nail in the coffin, maybe, but again, I got to agree with you there. He's losing a lot of his board right now, and yeah, we're going to see the Thermo Beam come out. I think that Swain is actually enough for Jubileu.
Oh, Cephalopod didn't play the Culling Strike in response, and now doesn't have the opportunity.
That feels bad, man. The head. So we were just talking about the advantage of saving that deck for last. We can already see the morale of Cephalopod seems to be taking a hit here. And wow, that feels really bad. That's super unfortunate, and you just get into that mode. Listen, I've done that before where I'm just jamming, clicking on like the pass button, and I'm like, oh shit, no, I didn't mean to do that this time. I should have played a card, damn it.
And he's getting taunted by top decking another Culling Strike.
Yeah. It's like, hi, you didn't use the first one, so here's another one.
It's like, oh, was 1 Culling Strike not enough? Did you need 2 to realize that you were supposed to play this on Swain? But he actually does pick up a Swain answer now with the Ash.
There we go. All right.
If it can live.
It didn't matter. It didn't matter. This was all planned. He knew this was going to happen.
Was it planned? Because he looked a little upset when he didn't Culling Strike it.
I guess it does. Well, it matters because now if another unit is played, the Ash won't frostbite that. Instead, it's, there's going to be 2 units on the board. But, it looks like Jubileu might actually just go for the removal of the Ash here. Yeah.
Or just going to soften it up. Ooh, Iceveil Archer's a pretty big pickup. Now, 1 more chance to actually kill the Swain.
All right. His deck is giving him another chance, another shot, so he doesn't screw it up this time. Looks like we're good. I imagine we will see the Iceveil with the Culling. No real need to play the Reckoning here.
I mean, I think this is sort of the last opportunity for you to ever get value out of this Reckoning. It almost certainly doesn't work. But at least you force that answer out of your opponent. And Jubileu just kind of buying time, trying to get to that Leviathan.
Yep, and here is the attack with the Ash. All right, never mind. I was going to say, do you ever play the Iceveil first, try to push more damage? But I think that with how much mana Jubileu has, he's almost definitely going to have something to play onto the field here.
Yeah, and with your opponent having a leveled Swain, you also not only open yourself up to potential stuns from the Swain, but also things like Arachnoid Sentry.
Well, okay, so here's the 5-headed play that we all know Cephalopod didn't mean to make. So Jubileu probably now assumes there is no Culling Strike in the hand of Cephalopod, so this might actually change the way he played right there and trying to just remove as much of the board as possible, the 3 attack units that would block the Swain next turn. All right, doesn't even matter. Never mind. Another Swain.
Oh, but he has Archer Culling Strike number 2.
Yeah. Wow, actually.
I think it might be better to go Ash and then Reckoning on the following turn, and then save your Iceveil Culling Strike for something a little bit later on.
But then you risk him just open attacking with the Swain.
Oh, that's right. He has the attack token.
Yeah. So then it's just gonna probably die to the Swain. And we do see the Iceveil with the Culling Strike here. So all right. His morale has been lifted. Okay, his deck has given him You
look at Cephalopod's face and tell me his morale is fine.
Right, come on, I'm trying to be positive here. Okay, All right, listen, his deck gave him at least some hope with those calling strikes. So we'll see if he's able to turn around here. He does seem to be in a more commanding position anyways than Jubileu right now.
Until he finds a Leviathan.
Oh,
there's Progress Day.
What is it with the Progress Days with these decks, man? They're always coming out towards the end of the matchup where it seems like everything's over.
I mean, Cephalopod has lethal on the following turn. Not now that there is a blocker for Jubileu, and I think we're going to sitting now as that Ezreal was sitting at 7 out of 8.
And for anybody just joining the tournament too, or just joining this cast, just a heads up, Agigas, who I believe is also in chat, probably scouting out his opponent, seeing how they play.
Whoa, Agigas told us that he didn't want to spoil who's in the finals. It's just someone that he knows, and he does know Annie Desu since he 3-0'd him in the semifinals.
Oh yeah, he definitely knows Annie Desu.
Oopsie, I spoiled it.
And yeah, so the winner here is going to be playing Agigas in the finals. So we'll see who's able to take it away. And wow, this keeps swinging back and forth, man. This is definitely a close one.
Oh, there's the assessor. It's not like a massive assessor, but this is one of those situations that you find yourself in where if you go for the open attack, you're enticing your opponent to remove your units, and you're potentially going to get less assessor value. And I don't think there's a massive punish out of Jubileu that comes at slow speed. It's really just Arachnoid Sentry, but I think the 2 draws that you get out of it is worth it.
Oh yeah, 100%. I don't think you ever risk not getting those 2 draws. Like at this point, your biggest problem is that you are down card advantage after your opponent played a Progress Day. So I do think you need to play catch up a little bit here. And what this might level Ezreal?
Yeah, Ezreal was at 7 out of 8 when it was played last time. Actually, Ezreal's already leveled off of the Arachnoid Sentry.
Yeah, okay, so then that is a little curious. Maybe just setting up maybe some more removal, like a Mystic Shot with the Ashe, something like that. I feel like if he did have the Mystic Shot, though, he would have played it with the Static Shock. So we'll see. We'll see what happens once Cephalopod goes ahead and takes this attack here. Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, so Crusher in chat, he's like, not a massive assessor. Yeah, anything that's not a 5-draw assessor, okay? We don't like that here. All right, we only like the 5-draw assessors.
Yeah, if it's Pot of Greed, that's not massive. That's like I feel like that's average. You should be drawing 2 cards with Assessor. Yeah. Otherwise, why is it in your deck?
Yeah, come on, 3 mana, draw 2. Like, let's be real. And Assessor costs more than 3 mana, so come on, guys. Come on, guys.
If it looks like... Yeah, okay, so the Flash Freeze is going to come out, and that's going to be the last 2 freezes that Cephalopods needs to level the Ashe. So no blockers available for Jubileu. Does have to find some kind of removal onto Cephalopod's units to stay in this one. Otherwise, he is dead right here. Jubileu, can you stay in the semifinals, or are you going home right now?
Oh, we might have a finalist.
And... With 2 spells lined up, I don't think so. Oh, God. Ooh.
So he... Okay, oh.
Oh, ooh.
Wait, what? Oh, okay. So he... Okay. Wow. So he actually valued... He would have been down to 5. He actually didn't play the other Noxie and Guillotine just to save 5 health. Do you think that was the right play?
There is... Let me just check something real quick. Yeah, there is a Captain Pharaon in Cephalopod's deck, so yes.
Okay. Yep. 100%. Yep. So good job on Jubileu for recognizing that, staying outside of that range. And he looks like he'll get rewarded by drawing into yet another Progress Day. And Jesus, all right, man. When I say back and forth, this is 100% back and forth. Oh my God.
Okay, hold on. I'm still getting roasted for saying that's not a massive assessor draw 2. What adjective do you want? I need a scale from you guys. What adjective do I use for 3 mana? Like, if 2 draw 2 is a massive assessor, what is a 5 draw assessor? Like, what do I call that?
Exponentially.
Massive's about as big as you get. Like, this is the galaxy assessor.
Exponentially insane assessor. Like, what? There's only so many adjectives, all right? Or, you know what? I don't think Agigas actually meant this, but let's just go with that's called the comeback. Like, if you get an assessor that draws 5, it's just called the comeback.
Well, the final nail in the coffin. It's like, oh, you were winning?
Nope.
This is our win.
Yeah, so we got... I think this is now in Jubileu's hands. I was not expecting this series to go to 5 games, I'm not going to lie. You know, Jubileu has scratched and clawed his way back from being down 0-2 here to Cephalopod, and now... It's looking like we're going to end... Oh, okay. Well, that's a card. I still think we're going to go to a game 3, but... Or, sorry, game 5, so we'll see.
I mean, Jubileu still needs to find a win condition, and Cephalopod does still have that, you know, that Captain Pharaon somewhere in his deck, always late to the party. Is he going to come off of Ashe's Crystal Arrow?
At this point, I don't think Captain Pharaon's the partying type. I think he's just never around.
He's really a stay-at-home kind of guy.
He's that boring friend that you never see for a while because he's always working hard somewhere else.
Does that fizzle the arrow? No, it doesn't.
No.
Okay, so Jubileu Mystic shotting his own unit to try and dodge the arrow, and that doesn't work.
Wow, yeah. I wonder... I mean, is there a way that card's worded that makes you think that's the way it would work?
So there are certain things that fizzle. I know that, like, Get Excited doesn't fizzle anymore because it has the effect of discard a card aside from the damage. Death's Hand doesn't fizzle because it still deals 1 to face. I don't think there's anything with, like, 2 effect. I mean, like, Glimpse Beyond fizzles, but that might be, like, the only one at this point that I can think of.
No, so I actually... No, so I don't know why he would think that, because I'm reading Crystal Arrow. It says, Frostbite an enemy, then Frostbite enemies with 3 or less health. It doesn't imply that Frostbiting the enemy is a requirement to activate the other Frostbite. So I think it's clearly stated, but, you know, it's a mistake. It happens.
Yeah, I mean, Jubileu also forgot that Swain... Oh, what was it earlier? Was it like something about Swain? Oh God, what was it? There was something earlier on.
As far as his ability proccing?
That might have been it. There was something in the Thresh Lux game that I'm failing to remember. That Jubileu thought it would work one way and it just didn't.
The Thresh Lux game? I know Final Spark works with Swain, right? As well as other champions that proc.
I'll go watch the VOD later and bring it back, but we should probably just move past it.
Well, that was a mistake. It happened, and we'll see if now Jubileu, I mean, that might, at this point in the game when they're like pretty much top decking, it's very crucial that you use every card in the most efficient way possible, and not having a Mystic Shot is a big deal. I mean, right now it doesn't seem like it because the board doesn't really trade too well with a Mystic Shot, but you never know. We'll see what happens here in the next couple of turns.
I mean, the Mystic Shot represents an Ezreal proc. It represents a stun from the Swain. It represents a kill onto a couple of units. It's a pretty big deal, but it's not necessarily a game-ending deal. You know, if Jubileu finds the Leviathan, do we really care if the Mystic Shot was there or not? Going to see Culling Strike now onto this Avarostan Trapper to, sort of deny the lethal.
And, all right, Death's Hand. Death's Hand out on the...
Captain Pharaoh. Oh, my God. No. Elixir of Iron.
Don't get me excited like that, man. Jesus. Yeah, and, okay, Thermal Beam coming out on the Yeti. Wow, this game, man. This is really, really close. Okay, that's a big deal.
There's Leviathan.
That is a big
And what do we have
deal.
Here? We have a teeny tiny assessor, a microscopic assessor.
We were worried about the big assessors, and this is clearly not what is or what Cephalopod's looking for right now.
Yeah, Cephalopod actually not running the Avaros and Hearthguard.
Yep.
Really kind of playing against him here, going for those sentries instead, which has dug him a little bit deeper. But against an Ezreal deck, I feel like I really like having those deck buffs from the Hearthguard available to me.
Yeah, and I think, did I ask you this before, what your thought was on the Avarosian Hearthguard version versus the other?
I like Hearthguard a lot.
I tend to like Hearthguard a lot too. I think late game wise, it just gives you more power because I don't think you're really. I think that's where you're worried, right? Is situations like this.
And really, the only difference we're seeing between Cephalopod and a sort of the standard list is he's running 3 Sentry instead of any Hearthguards.
Yeah. I'm not crazy about Sentry in this matchup, but yeah, this Leviathan looking to end the game here. I think it will. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, we said the Mystic Shot, it had potential to be a big deal, but if like Leviathan gets drawn or Pharaon gets drawn, it doesn't make enough of a difference to really matter. And Jubileu, misplays his way into a victory. Well, it's not like the misplay affected the victory. He just drew a Leviathan before Cephalopod could draw anything to end the game. So now we are getting the game 5 that I talked about like 45 minutes ago that I'm not sure that Jubileu can win in the Zed Bannerman against this Ash Noxus deck.
Yeah, and we'll see if that's the case, right? And I think so. I'm going to go with the same. Now, I'm not sure because I haven't tested this theory in watching this particular matchup. But my theory before, right, with if he can go wide enough super early between like turn 4 and 5, probably even earlier than the other decks, he might have a chance to take it away. Beyond that turn, not happening. And it looks like is he looking at his own deck list right now?
Yeah.
He's like, wait, I forgot what's in my deck, guys. Can somebody help me out here? Gotta hate when
Oh,
that
no,
happens.
we're not saying that Ash Sedge can't beat Bannerman. We're saying Ash Sedge is very favored against Bannerman,
Yeah.
and we were kind of hoping that Jubileu would just whip that out in game number 3 to kind of get it over with,
Yeah.
understanding that this was a match he was eventually going to have to win if he wanted to get into the finals.
Yeah, no, and what I was saying was, and I had mentioned this earlier, if you didn't catch it, something like a pirate aggro deck actually does have a chance to beat Ash Sejuani, but it has a very small window within turn. That one in particular, 5 or 6, and you have to kind of play to that victory. Like, you have to go all in on winning by turn 5 and 6, and that's your only strategy. Otherwise, it's not going to work. And like everybody seems to universally agree here in chat and the casters. God, it's a good day when the casters and chat agree on something for once. We think that Freljord, this mid-range Frostbite, has the advantage versus the Bannerman deck.
Yeah, and actually, Head Smash brings up a good point that I was about to say. The Lucian version is a little bit more favored into something like this. It has the tools to go aggro early enough that, Cephalopod actually just can't get on board, especially now that you're playing these reckless versions where your 3-drops all of a sudden actually can't block anything that your opponent's doing. Yeah. But Cephalopod's got an okay hand here. We see some microscopic assessors, again, that aren't going to be able to pick up any draws, because I don't think Cephalopod's playing this reckless Trifarian anytime soon. I'm pretty sure he's going to have to go for the Trapper because that 1-mana 5/5 can make a big difference in this matchup when fighting for board.
Yeah, and we do see, listen, Jubileu does have the Fleet Feather. He does have the War Chefs. He's curving out pretty nicely. He's gonna
look. The beautiful curve is Lucian into Senna.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. That is a good point. That probably would have been the better aggressive curve. Okay. We do see the Lucian, so he might be playing it. He might have it and just be. Oh wait, was that top decked? I think that came from the left.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I was gonna say
we might have to. So I think this Trifarian might have to, or the Reckless Trifarian might have to come down on turn 4 to try to set up for the Reckoning. If you play it on 3, then you still don't have Reckoning mana next turn, so it's not that big of a deal. But the scary part is that then you're going for Reckoning on Jubileu's attack turn.
Yeah. Oh, and that's. Oh wait. So actually, the bird still dies. Very importantly. Yeah. So that's not the greatest. Now I will say, Cephalopod's hand, as far as aggression is concerned, he might just be forced to play an Assessor just to live because the Trifarian is going to do jack for him right now.
He's only staring down about 6 damage currently. You could theoretically go for a pass here, see what Jubileu continues to develop. Because if Jubileu doesn't develop anything and then goes for an open attack, you're living at 9. You can play the Trifarian after combat and then go for a Reckoning on your own turn and feel pretty okay about that.
I kind of agree, right? I'm not. It's just scary, right? Like going into an aggressive matchup, it's very scary to pass like that. But I do think it's the better option right now. And it looks like he agrees. Ooh, that's very.
That's
good.
Not what you wanted to see.
Yeah, that's very good for Jubileu getting that off. And now he absolutely has to play these. Wait. Is he gonna? So, why would you play the Trifarian here or the Reckless Trifarian?
The Reckless Trifarian here would be to set up for Reckoning on the following turn.
Okay, so now, all right, so he's just banking on Jubileu playing something else before he attacks, or using the Scout attack. Okay, that's not terrible. But he has to hope, I guess, that Jubileu doesn't just take an open attack. That would be 3, 6, 7, 8, 9. So if he does just take an all-out open attack now, he would be doing 9 damage. Oh, that's really risky to go that route.
Ooh, the attack here is a little bit scary because now you open yourself up to getting single combated in order to turn off the Reckoning. But it does get the Badger Bear out, so this is even more enticing for Cephalopod to just go for this Reckoning.
Yeah, no, and this is the second I saw that block, I knew he was going to take an open attack. So yeah, this is a lot of damage. And that's what I was worried about. I feel like the Assessor might have actually been better just to take on one of those blocks there.
All right, so according to chat, this is a huge Assessor because 2 draws is massive, so 1 draw is huge. There's no big Assessor. There's no average Assessor. We only go big and above.
Okay. Getting the Yeti, very, very good here, and he will be going into a Sejuani turn. So things are looking better. He is going to probably have to trade the Yeti here.
You could go to 1 if you really wanted to.
Oh, he doesn't get... There's no direct damage, right?
Let me check on that, actually. No, and there's no Radiant Strike that we sometimes see out of the Lucian list. So, yeah, did you see if it was a Relentless Pursuit or a Lucian's Relentless Pursuit?
Wait, when he played it? No, I did not, actually.
Yeah, okay.
Unfortunately. Yeah, it looks like he's got 2 Relentless Pursuits, 2 single combats, 3 Ranger's Resolve, 2 Concerted Strike, and 2 back-to-back. All right, the 2 back-to-back could be pretty punishing too. You know, in the next couple of turns here.
Yeah, that could deny the Reckoning.
Yeah.
And if you commit you would have to commit your entire turn to the Reckoning here, and if that gets blown up by a back-to-back, then your opponent just has not quite lethal. You would get to continue to develop a board. Oh, no, you'd only have 2 mana to develop a board. So it looks like we're going to go the Sejuani route to try and take out this Lucian. And Cephalopod, you know, can fight his way back into this game. Jubileu doesn't have a lot of cards left. We've already seen 1 rally down. Yep. Granted, there are theoretically an infinite number of rallies in his deck if he is playing Lucian. Since, you know, multiple Lucians, they shuffle back in. You get what I'm saying here.
Yeah, and this is that point, right? This is the turning point. It's turn 6. The attack token's on Cephalopod's side. He has a Sejuani. I think it's stabilized. I think that he staved off that early game aggression he needed to. I don't think there is actually a way for Jubileu to push through more damage after this turn. Like, I don't see him removing most of the... Like, he would have to go ridiculously wide right now, somehow, just because that...
He does play Zed.
Oh, there is a Zed. So he would have to do something like Zed and... What's, like, another 3-drop?
There's a couple
Senna.
of them. You got Senna.
If he goes Zed Senna, I think he wins.
If you had Senna, though, and you didn't play it when your Lucian was about to get killed, that would surprise me a little bit.
Oh.
Okay, so we are going to see the back-to-back, but that comes out before the Reckoning.
Wow.
I thought it was a second back-to-back. I was like, how do you do that?
Wow, that's really good. Now, all right, well, okay. So he actually can't go wide, though. He just can do, what, 3 damage here?
Unless he's got another back-to-back, but then you open yourself up to Harsh Winds. That's a little bit risky. And we see Harsh Winds on the top for Cephalopod.
If he went all out with the 2 back-to-backs, it's going to get severely punished here. And you know what? I'm not going to blame Jubileu if he does go for that, right? Because you have to. There's actually no choice but to go for that and drawing that Harsh Winds. Whew.
And Cephalopod critically can get down this Avaros and Trapper if Jubileu wants to develop and still has Harsh Winds mana available for him.
Yeah. I think Cephalopod, yeah, like I said, I don't think that matters. I think that Cephalopod has stabilized. Yep.
He kind of has to get through this turn. But now Jubileu doesn't have...
Oh, that's like a...
back-to-back mana.
Yeah, that's a good Reckoning. And there's no way for him to power... Yeah, he can't raise the attack of anything else there.
Yeah, I don't think there's any punish out of Jubileu if Cephalopod does go for the Reckoning here.
And then that's just game, if that's the case. Oh, we are all waiting. This isn't...
Yeah, there are no denying of the deck. Zed is the only Ionia card.
But see, now this is where, I've said it before, this is where Cephalopod stares at the deck list of Jubileu and goes, no, there's a deny in there somewhere. Where is it? I need to make 100% sure it's not in the deck. And then he takes 10 minutes to play the card. So, but it looks like we're not even going to see it.
Oh, that's a Reckoning if I've ever seen one.
Bye-bye. But he's like excited, but doesn't want to do it yet. He's like, did you see? He like smirked and then went to go grab the card, but then stopped himself. He's like, wait, let me take in this moment for a little bit longer. Yeah, he would have won without the Reckoning. He would have actually. Well, the Harsh.
Okay, here comes Captain Pharaoh.
Yeah, just do it. Just jam the Farron. Doesn't really matter.
I think Kato technically represents more damage.
Yeah, but we want to see the Farron. Thank you, Cephalopod. Thank you. There we go. And that doesn't matter, so we'll go ahead and attack with all. He might get a trade-off, I guess, on the Cytheria, but nope, he's taking it. And yeah, we got Cephalopod in the finals, everybody. Let's go. Cephalopod versus a Gigas. We were just talking about how Cephalopod routinely tops. Let's see if he can actually take home a victory.
I thought I was about to eat my words about. We keep talking about, how Ash Sejuani is favored against Bannerman, and then I think we consistently see Bannerman just blow it out with those early Lucian Senna turns and just getting online before the Ash Sejuani can happen. But not this time around. Cephalopod able to stabilize, does get this one back in, and we'll be moving on to the finals against a Gigas whose deck lists I now have to open for, I believe, the first time.
Yeah, I don't think we've actually taken a look at any of Gigas' decks today anyways, so let's see what he's got that he's running with today. Let's see what he made it to the finals with. I'm really... Gigas, you've been in chat. I'm telling you, I better see some spicy stuff.
He did say he was running Spooky Karma with no Will of Ionia. He was not a liar in that regard.
Okay, but... Okay, I actually like... Okay, here's the thing with Spooky Karma. I like that you're running Spooky Karma. Problem is, it's Spooky Karma. So, if you're going to run Spooky Karma, I better see sub 20-minute games out of this deck. So, we'll see. We'll see if that's the case. But, yeah, it looks like Spooky Karma, mid-range Frostbite. What do you know? Would have never guessed it. And first time today, I think that we've just seen straight-up Scouts with Misfortune Quinn.
Yeah, that sounds pretty accurate for the most part. We're seeing, I think we saw a couple Callistas and mostly Zed. Nobody else really going for this. It's always kind of weird looking at these deck lists because even if when you have like Misfortune Quinn, the way that it works on the Duels of Runeterra site is that Misfortune takes over the background. So all of a sudden, like the deck list seems like a weird shade of brown where other Bannerman decks are typically all white or like a light pink or something like that. So just like that weird color contrast always throws me off, and I think it's more Bilgewater heavy than it actually is.
I just want to take a minute because I love the look, and maybe it's not just Cephalopod. I think it's a lot of other players too. But it's just that seeing like the smile on the player's face that has made like when they win that semifinals game, they are like because they're streaming too. It's like you can tell they're kind of like trying to hold in their excitement because it's like, guys, we're just playing a kid's card game, right? Like, what is there to be excited about? But let me tell you, all right, winning a tournament for any card game, whether it's Yu-Gi-Oh, Magic, Legend, it just feels good. Anything, a sport, just literally anything. It's just a feels good moment. So congratulations to both Agigas and Cephalopod for making it to finals. We are in probably for one hell of a, hopefully 5 games. We'll see if they can take it to 5 games here.
Hopefully 5 games. What? It's 8 o'clock. What do you mean 5 games?
Well, we want the content, baby. We want the content. True. We want to put on a show for everybody in chat. So yeah, hopefully 5 games. But all right.
Actually, this is not a children's card game. Legends of Runeterra is rated T for teen. Yu-Gi-Oh is like ages 6 and up or something, and that's why it's a children's card game. Magic is also rated T for teen, I believe. So
wait, is that because of like probably because of like the catchphrases that they say when you play the card?
I think Magic has like more brutal art because I know a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh art is like more cartoony.
Yeah.
So they don't get into like blood and gore and stuff like that, like you do in Magic and Runeterra.
Yeah, I think you're right. So that's funny. I didn't actually know that. So fun fact for everybody. Thank you, Boulevard, for that.
I had to like look up Runeterra to make sure that it is rated T for teen.
He's like, wait, let me Google it real quick. Oh shit. Yeah, Blevins might actually be right too. Reference to possibly alcohol.
Oh, there were like 7 things listed about why this is rated T for teen. Hold on.
Yeah, and actually another thing too. Like, remember Crimson Disciple? Didn't they change what she says?
So it's alcohol reference, blood, fantasy violence, mild suggested themes, users interact, and in-game purchases.
Users interact?
I guess, does any game with a chat feature have to be rated T for teen nowadays?
Really?
I mean, that's the only thing that I would be able to think of.
Didn't realize that. I wouldn't...
I mean, I don't think that's like... I mean, that's not like the most wild thing I've ever heard in my life.
Nowadays, nowadays, without getting into further detail, nowadays, that doesn't surprise me whatsoever. So yeah, but all right, guys, that's it. That's it for the top 4. We have Cephalopod making it to the finals. So we'll see what happens and if he is able to take it home. Again, do not forget to subscribe. Do not forget to hit that like button. And as always, everybody, stay healthy, stay positive. I hope shit just works for you. And peace out.